President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. President Trump is a failed leader.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's clash with Donald Trump erupted in dramatic fashion after the conclusion of one of the most turbulent beginnings to a presidential second term in American history. Having defeated Kamala Harris in a bitterly contested election, Trump's return to the White House was marked by a swirl of scandals, controversies, and allegations that seemed to accelerate rather than subside once he reclaimed the Oval Office. Just months into his second term, Trump faced a barrage of criticism not only from political opponents, but also from unlikely voices outside the realm of politics. Among the loudest came from Schwarzenegger, the former governor of California and global icon, who seized the moment to dismantle Trump's image with scathing rebukes that focused on leadership, morality, and national direction. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. The attack carried unique weight because Schwarzenegger had long occupied a strange space in American public life, balancing his Hollywood superstardom with a career in politics and an enduring ability to cut across cultural divides. His words resonated not merely as political commentary, but as a cultural assessment of how Trump's presidency reflected deeper fractures in the American story. For many, Schwarzenegger's condemnation crystallized anxieties that had been simmering since Trump's re-election, and his criticisms reverberated because they came from a figure who was once admired for reinventing himself as a Republican leader with a pragmatic streak, often in stark contrast to Trump's brand of politics. The tension between the two men was not new. Their rivalry had roots in years of public sparring, ranging from television ratings disputes to differences over policy and personal conduct. But this new eruption felt different, magnified by the moment's gravity. Trump's first months back in power had been plagued by administrative chaos, sharp partisan battles, and revelations of alleged secret affairs that ignited fresh questions about his personal life and his treatment of Melania Trump. Schwarzenegger's words zeroed in on these scandals, tying them not only to questions of morality, but also to broader concerns about integrity and credibility in leadership. Trump's personal life had always been a topic of fascination and controversy. Yet the renewed accusations of multiple hidden affairs during his presidency injected an explosive element into the political landscape. Schwarzenegger seized upon these claims as emblematic of Trump's inability to embody the dignity of the office. In doing so, he connected personal failures to national consequences, suggesting that a leader's inability to maintain integrity at home mirrored a wider incapacity to govern responsibly. This framing amplified the cultural conversation, not just about Trump, but about the expectations Americans should hold for their leaders. What made Schwarzenegger's intervention so impactful was the way he merged personal critique with political vision. He highlighted the gap between Trump's promises to restore strength and the apparent disarray in his second term. For Schwarzenegger, who often championed discipline and self-control in his public persona, Trump represented the antithesis of leadership grounded in responsibility. The accusations of secret affairs became a metaphor for a presidency built on duplicity and instability, where the surface spectacle concealed deeper dysfunction. In the broader context, Schwarzenegger's attack reflected the growing unease among Republicans who had either distanced themselves from Trump or openly sought to challenge his dominance within the party. His words cut through the traditional partisan noise because he was not a Democrat lobbing predictable critiques. Instead, he was a Republican elder statesman, albeit one who had always maintained an independent streak. This made his rebuke harder to dismiss as mere political opposition. It became part of a larger debate about the direction of conservatism in America, as many within the GOP wrestled with whether Trump's continued leadership was sustainable or corrosive. The timing of this confrontation was particularly significant. Trump's re-election had already sent shockwaves through a nation deeply divided along political and cultural lines. His victory over Kamala Harris was seen by some as a reaffirmation of populist politics, while others viewed it as a troubling sign of Democratic vulnerability. Once back in office, his governance style seemed to intensify rather than moderate, fueling polarization and sparking protests across the country. Into this climate stepped Schwarzenegger, whose critique provided both a sharp rebuke and an alternative vision, one rooted in discipline, responsibility, and a more inclusive definition of leadership. For many observers, Schwarzenegger's decision to speak out was not merely about Trump, but about safeguarding the integrity of democratic institutions. He argued that the erosion of trust in leadership, accelerated by scandals and personal misconduct, posed a threat to the stability of the nation. By directly calling out Trump's alleged affairs, he forced Americans to confront the uncomfortable question of whether character still mattered in politics or whether the bar had been permanently lowered. The implications of this moment extended beyond the immediate drama of Schwarzenegger versus Trump. It signaled a deeper cultural reckoning, where celebrity figures, often dismissed as outsiders to the political arena, increasingly wielded influence over national conversation. Schwarzenegger's critique was amplified by his unique standing as both a cultural icon and a former governor, lending his words a credibility that resonated with audiences across the spectrum. The confrontation highlighted how politics in the modern era had become inseparable from media spectacle, with figures like Schwarzenegger able to shape discourse in ways that traditional politicians sometimes struggled to achieve. At the same time, the allegations of Trump's secret affairs added fuel to the fire of a presidency already engulfed in controversy. Questions swirled not only about the personal betrayal implied for Melania Trump, but also about the broader implications for trust and transparency. Schwarzenegger's attack magnified these questions, forcing them into the spotlight at a time when Trump's administration was already battling accusations of corruption and incompetence. In this way, the personal and political fused, creating a volatile mix that defined the early months of Trump's second term. The spectacle of Schwarzenegger confronting Trump also underscored a clash of masculine archetypes in American culture. Both men had built their identities on strength, dominance, and charisma. Yet they embodied these traits in profoundly different ways. Schwarzenegger projected discipline, self-control, and a narrative of self-made reinvention, while Trump leaned on bravado, showmanship, and a willingness to court controversy. Their confrontation symbolized a broader debate over what kind of masculinity and leadership America valued in its leaders. The contrast was stark, and it added a layer of cultural drama to the political confrontation. From a global perspective, Schwarzenegger's denunciation reverberated far beyond American borders. International audiences, already perplexed by Trump's re-election and tumultuous leadership style, saw in Schwarzenegger's critique a validation of their concern. The former governor, himself an immigrant success story, spoke to global audiences about the dangers of leadership that prioritized ego over responsibility. His words highlighted the stakes of Trump's presidency not just for America, but for the world, as questions about democracy, integrity, and global stability swirled. Domestically, Schwarzenegger's intervention deepened the fractures within the Republican Party. Trump's loyal base dismissed the criticism as yet another attack from an establishment figure unwilling to embrace his populist agenda. Yet others within the party saw Schwarzenegger's words as a necessary reckoning, a reminder that leadership required not only policy victories but also moral authority. The clash reignited debates about the future of the party, whether it would continue to orbit around Trump's personality or move toward a different vision of conservative leadership. The personal dimension of Schwarzenegger's critique cannot be overstated. By focusing on Trump's alleged affairs, he tapped into a long-standing American fascination with the private lives of its leaders. Yet he reframed this fascination into a moral and political issue, suggesting that personal duplicity had national consequences. The betrayal of a spouse, in his framing, mirrored the betrayal of public trust. This connection made the allegations resonate in ways that extended far beyond tabloid headlines, transforming them into a referendum on leadership itself. As the months of Trump's second term unfolded, Schwarzenegger's words lingered as a constant reminder of the unease surrounding the presidency. They symbolized the growing disconnect between Trump's image as a populist champion and the realities of his governance, marked by scandal and instability. The confrontation crystallized a moment when Americans were forced to confront uncomfortable questions about character, leadership, and the future of their democracy. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us? What are your thoughts on Arnold Schwarzenegger's attack against Trump after re-election? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.